So today what I want to do is go through the first story of Genesis, which is the creating of the heavens and the earth and everything that lies in it. This is the first story that people who pick up the Bible read. So it is their introduction into existence and the God of Moses and the Jewish people and even the Christian people. So we'll just go verse by verse. I'll put some commentary in there, and ultimately what I really want to push forward is for you to read it and make your own conclusion. Do not depend on commentary, whether it be mine or a priest or anybody else. You should read it for yourself and see what it has to say. So if we go to Genesis 1:1 and start reading from there. On the first day, in the beginning of God's creating the heavens and the earth, when the earth was astonishingly empty, with darkness upon the surface of the deep, and the divine presence hovered upon the surface of the waters, God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and God separated between the light and the darkness. God called to the light day, and to the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, one day. So in this first day, God created the light through his word, and he saw that it was good, and he separated light from darkness. Now it does mention the darkness upon the surface of the deep and the earth being really empty. Now you can take it for what it is. Now that's something that I don't believe we can comprehend, because we're not God. We did not create the earth, so we can only imagine. But it's not worth spending so much time here just for the fact that there's a lot of practical matters and spiritual guidance and wisdom that exists within the rest of the Torah. Second day, God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it separate between water and water." So God made the firmament and separated between the waters which were beneath the firmament and the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. God called to the firmament heaven, and there was evening, and there was morning, a second day. So in the second day, the firmament was created, and it divided the waters above from the waters below. Now, there's a couple things that we need to consider. You can take it in one or two ways as far as I'm aware. The waters above being the clouds, and the waters below being the seas. However, after that, it does talk about the creating of the seas, and it also talks about the firmament of the heaven, which is where God places the luminaries, like the sun and the moon. So I don't know what the waters above are. Third day, God said, "Let the waters beneath the heaven be gathered into one area, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. God called to the dry land earth, and to the gathering of the waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. God said, "Let the earth sprout vegetation, herbage yielding seed, fruit trees yielding fruit, each after its kind, containing its own seed on the earth." And it was so. And the earth brought forth vegetation, herbage yielding seed after its kind, and trees yielding fruit, each containing its seed after its kind. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, a third day. So in the third day, God gathered all the water into one area, and revealed the earth, and formed the seas, and God saw that it was good. Something to note is that on the second day, it doesn't necessarily say that it was good, but every other day, all the creations were good. However, at the end, it does say that God saw everything that he had made and deemed it good. The only conclusion we can make there is that either it wasn't necessarily needed to be mentioned in the second day, or after God created all 7 days, he saw that, you know what, everything is good. The earth also sprouted vegetation, trees, herbage, and its seeds. Now the fourth day, God said, "Let there be luminaries in the firmament of the heaven to separate between the day and the night, and they shall serve as signs, and for festivals, and for days and years. And they shall serve as luminaries in the firmament of the heaven to shine upon the earth." And it was so. And God made the two great luminaries, the greater luminary to dominate the day, and the lesser luminary to dominate the night, and the stars. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, to dominate by day and by night, and to separate between the light and the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, a fourth day. So this is exactly what I mentioned previously, that there's the firmament of the heaven in which the luminaries exist in. Well, of course, God created those luminaries to separate between day and night, and there was a greater luminary to dominate the day, the sun, and the lesser luminary, the moon, to dominate the night. And let's not forget the stars as well. And he saw that it was good. Fifth day, God said, let the waters teem with teeming living creatures and fowl that fly about over the earth across the expanse of the heavens. And God created the great sea giants and every living being that creeps, with which the waters teemed after their kinds, and all winged fowl of every kind. And God saw that it was good. God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the sea, but the fowl shall increase on the earth. And there was evening, and there was morning, a fifth day. So in this day, God created the creatures in the water, and the fowl that fly about the earth. And this is where he first commands them to be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and the fowl to fill the earth. Now, there is this Jewish interpretation that actually discards this commandment to not, you'll see later on it brings it up for humans as well, but it discards the commandment saying that it's a blessing rather than a commandment, because God blessed them saying this rather than God commanded them saying this. Now, the reason why it's not really valid is for the fact that he says this as a command, as a statement, like be fruitful and multiply, rather than it being I bless you with fruitfulness and multiplication. So it's one of those interesting things that they use to just push their own agenda for other reasons, but I don't want to get too far down in that rabbit hole, just for the fact that this is going over the days of creation. That was the fifth day. Day 6, God said, let the earth bring forth living creatures, each according to its kind, animal and creeping thing, and beasts of the land, each according to its kind. And it was so. God made the beasts of the earth according to its kind, and animal according to its kind, and every creeping being of the ground according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. They shall rule over the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, and over the animal, the whole earth, and every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth. So God created man in his image. In the image of God he created him. Male and female he created them. God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and subdue it, and rule over the fish of the sea, the bird of the sky, and every living thing that moves on the earth. God said, behold, I have given you all herbage yielding seed that is on the surface of the entire earth, and every tree that has seed yielding fruit, it shall be yours for food, and to every beast of the earth, to every bird of the sky, and to everything that moves on the earth, within which there is a living soul, every green herb is for food. And it was so. And God saw all that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. So in the sixth day, there's a couple things that happened. God said, let the earth bring forth the living creatures. So the cattle, the animals, the creeping things, and the beasts, according to their kinds. And he also creates man. God says, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. All right, it's almost as if he's speaking as a multitude, as opposed to speaking as a single unit, which we commonly refer to him as. Now, God is infinite, and he can be both. You can easily think of, oh man, God is a conglomerate of people or gods, rather than one single God who rules above all. In reality, we don't know, we can't envision God. Anybody who has seen him has surely died, except Moses. He created man, and one of the attributes of man is to rule over the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, and over the animal, the whole earth, and every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth. And what follows after that is another important line that we've heard many times over. So God created man in his image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female, he created them. So he created male and female as a unitary bond, whether they're separated physically or they're joined physically, which we'll address in a bit. God blessed them again, brought up again, and said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it, rule over the fish of the sea, the bird of the sky, and every living thing that moves on the earth." So I do believe this is a commandment. Be fruitful and multiply is the first commandment that is said to humans. And the only way we can be fruitful and multiply is by having this appropriate bond between man and woman to be able to create offspring to pass on to the next generation and generations after that. Now, to label that as a blessing doesn't really make sense when it is a command just by nature of the sentence. And to the vegans and vegetarians out there, God does tell the beasts of the earth and the birds of the sky and even the humans that within which there is a living soul, every green herb is for food. So there's the vegan diet for you. And it was so. God created everything, and he saw that it was very good. Day 7. Thus the heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. By the 7th day God completed his work which he had done, and he abstained on the 7th day from all his work which he had done. God blessed the 7th day and sanctified it, because on it he abstained from all his work which God created to make. So on the 7th day God rested completely and abstained from all work. He sanctified it. So that's exactly why we celebrate the Sabbath. I do want to bring up another quote in Exodus 20 in which the commandments are being given from the mountain, and God gives the 4th commandment: remember the Sabbath day to sanctify it. 6 days shall you work and accomplish all your work, but the 7th day is a Sabbath to Hashem your God. You shall not do any work, you, your son, your daughter, your slave, your maidservant, your animal, and your convert within your gates. For in 6 days Hashem made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and he rested on the 7th day. Therefore Hashem blessed the Sabbath day and sanctified it. So God made this day holy, and neither us nor our slaves, our animals, our children, or even the converts within our gates can work. And the consequences of breaking Shabbat are very extreme. So it's a blessing for us to have the Shabbat rather than it being a curse to have the Sabbath. There is one more point I did want to bring up, which is food for thought. I do believe that when man was placed in the Garden of Eden, it was during the 6th day. And the reason why I think that's so is for this passage here, Genesis 2:4. These are the products of the heaven and the earth when they were created on the day that Hashem God made earth and heaven. Now all the trees of the field were not yet on the earth, and all the herb of the field had not yet sprouted. For Hashem God had not sent rain upon the earth, there was no man to work the soil. A mist ascended from the earth and watered the whole surface of the soil, and Hashem God formed the man of dust from the ground, and he blew into his nostrils the soul of life, and became a living being. 2 main takeaways is that the trees of the field were not yet on the earth, and all the herb of the field had not yet sprouted. If we go back to day 3, it says here, let the earth sprout vegetation, herbage yielding seed, fruit trees yielding fruit, each after its kind, containing its own seed on the earth. And it was so. And the earth brought forth vegetation, herbage yielding seed after its kind. And so it does say that the earth sprouted vegetation, but in combination with that, it is showing the reason why the herb of the field had not yet sprouted was because man was not there to work the soil. So man needed to be involved in order for this process to happen. And then it goes on to say that God formed the man of dust from the ground, and he blew into his nostrils the soul of life, and man became a living being. So this is happening after the 7 days of creation. So it's almost like if it's going backward in time to further explain what's going on with man's story in earth. Another supporting piece is when God blesses the man and woman, seems like, to be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. In order to be fruitful and multiply, there needs to be two separating bodies from what I know. So man was alone, and God created a woman for man so that he not be alone, because it was not good. So it just goes to show that man and woman were already created when this story is happening. In the next episode, we are going to delve deep into the Garden of Eden, and of course not make any sort of deep assumptions that a lot of other commentaries make. We're just going to read it at face value and make some commentary as necessary and connect it to other pieces within the Bible rather than pieces outside of it. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope this is a great entryway for those who are attempting to read the Bible or understand it better. Again, what I really aim to do is to point to the source of all this knowledge, which is this book here, the Bible. More specifically, the 5 books of Moses, which is about this big. The rest of it is just Jewish history and some prophets that come along the way, which is also valuable in its own respect, just as American history is valuable to learn and understand. But the 5 books of Moses is what has built America and has built the religious institutions, has built humanity in its moral capacity. Many religions and many cultures have integrated the moral code and values that have sustained people for generations. So thank you for listening, and I hope this was very helpful. I'll see you next time.